Hi, Anna.
How are you?
And we're live
Audio,
audio, but not visual. So hang
You've
on.
been gone busy for a long
I
time.
know. I feel like I have been very absent. Sorry.
And Mr. Chairman,
Happens.
you are live.
Work first.
That's right.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Is there any public comment? Did anybody not have the chance to read the minutes? Are there any changes or corrections?
I would move it if you don't have any.
Okay, minutes are approved as posted. Do we have financial reports and
Yeah.
claims?
Yes. Your airport cash is $69,266.55. $69,266.55. In your CIP account, you have $488,929.17. That's $488,929.17. And when you're ready for claims, I can give you those as well.
Very well.
Fire away. Okay. First one, we have a sprinkler system winterization base for $85 for Castle Mountain Sales. We have Wesco for the Fuel Master and the Fuel Master labor, travel, mileage, etc. for $1,157.95. We have another one for Wesco for $2,854.30 for the Fuel Master service call. Townsend Hardware for rebar ground anchor stakes for $16.98. We have cameras for UMB Visa. Dwight charged them with a county Visa for $465.82. And also his aviation conference registration. That was the total. Sorry, the cameras were $151.98 for two. And his registration was $313.84 for a total of $465.82. They both were for the credit card. That's why they're on one claim. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
We're about $4,000 into that fuel system in the last 2 months, 3 months.
And Mr. Chairman, that Noesco repair bills, those were back from this summer.
I see that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to see this?
I'll pass them all back around, that's fine.
So he's number here.
Master.
Got it. Is that right? Hard for you to see over there. Sorry.
What is the muddy cameras?
So those we had talked about last summer about trying to capture how much usage is done on the airport.
Mm-hmm.
So they're a motion camera, and I got them at both airports.
Cool.
I'll give you an update of my report.
Yep.
I'll pass them back.
Good.
Aubrey, could you repeat the cash on
Yes.
hand yet again?
Yes. Okay, so in your airport cash, it's $69,266.55.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The big change there was the fuel purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the claims?
I'll move to approve the claims.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, who seconded it?
Bob?
Oh, okay, thanks.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. Daryl, do you want to talk for Lance right now?
I will. So Lance is down in Dillon, I guess, because you all remember that Dillon's finishing up their big project, so they're doing some stuff down there. So anyway, he asked me to talk about this. So we have some additional documents to do now that we have, the FAA has agreed to do the alternative additive number 2, the additional ramp space. So that's what this is addressing. If you remember, when the FAA awarded the bid, they did not want to do alternative additive number 2. So through a lot of cussing and discussing that involved all of us, the FAA finally has agreed that they will do that. They're going to use bipartisan infrastructure law money. And because of that, it comes out of a different fund. We have to do an entirely different grant. So this is what this is about. So Lance and his crew have initiated a whole new grant for this process. So the first document there of through the change order for Bullock Contracting, $214,576.30. That was what was originally bid to do that apron expansion. So it makes sense that they're already mobilized, that they complete that project while they're there. And I think that was part of our argument, how much it would cost if they waited to do that at a later date, and plus the safety factor and other things that were discussed. So that's what that first document is. So you want to address each document separately, Mr. Chair?
Well, let's go through the list and then we'll vote on it.
So that would be your first document. The second document is the actual task order for Robert Petch Engineering. It explains their scope of services, how they will administer the grant, and on the is it the fourth page? Fourth page at the very bottom tells the cost to administer this grant, and the task order is $27,700. So that's what this task order is, to allow them to do that.
Paperwork is expensive.
Yes, it is. And of course, Lance told us that in the very beginning. He says, if we have to do this as a separate project, it's probably going to cost us another $25,000. Well, here we are. But it is covered by the FAA. But
So you need a recommendation to the commissioners that we approve of these two
correct.
items.
Yes.
I would move, do we need a motion on that?
Yes.
I would move that we recommend to the commissioners that we approve this.
Okay, if I could ask that let's do two different motions just so it's very black and white.
This would be for the change order, the 214,576.30.
Okay. So the motion is that we, just to rephrase it, that the airport recommends approval for the change order for the additive alternate number 2.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? This is something we've obviously pushed for very hard, and I think we're going to get a lot of pushback on this one. So,
Yeah. A lot of pictures. Dwight took pictures. I took pictures. I think some of you took pictures of all the things that were happening out there, and I think the FAA has finally seen that it was a safety issue, and that might have been the determining factor. So, good job, everybody.
any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for additive alternate number 2. The second item is that we need a motion for is the $27,000 for the paperwork for RPA to handle that grant.
Well, I'll move that we approve the RPA task order number 10 as amended.
I will second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving right along here. Okay, do we have a presentation for the dust pods?
So Wayne, can you hear us?
I am.
Hey, hello.
Hello, how are you? Did you guys get a copy of the presentation for you to show on the screen there?
Yes, can you, do you know how to share that on your end? Okay.
No.
Okay, so that's why my IT guy is sitting here to help me.
Do you have a green share button down in the middle? If you move your mouse over the Zoom screen?
It's probably not going to transfer from there to my phone, honestly.
No, you're on your phone.
That's not good.
Okay, give me one moment,
Hey,
please.
He's on
Nonetheless,
it. He's
I
on
can
it,
give you a
Wayne.
verbal.
Just a second. He can do it up here.
We got IT here.
Something along that line.
Yeah, I don't have any IT skills whatsoever.
Maybe while Ken's doing, I give you a little introduction on what's going
Yes,
on with
please.
this.
Sure.
So, looking ahead to the Townsend 8U8 big job, we expect that we're going to have some added traffic to Canyon Ferry, and we need to put in some tie downs, and then the runway has not been serviced in some time, and I think the last time that was done, they put some mag chloride on there. And it's found that the mag chloride is also caustic to aluminum and to fabric. And so we're looking at some other type of substance that might help to, one, bind the material and keep dust down, but mostly just to bind the runway up. The county has been doing a really good job of trying to compact it, and they've been doing it about twice a year, but there's areas on the runway where it's just marbles. There's no fines for the rocks to bind to. So Daryl was at a meeting for Mako, and they saw this thing on this product called Dust Pods, and so they came down, and we met a few of us out at the airport, and they looked over the airport and thought that this product might be a good thing for us to look at. So I've been working with TJ from the county as far as other ways to help us be involved with the project, to keep the costs down, so that the dust pods would not have to be bringing in their own gravel or bringing in their equipment. That the county looks like we have the equipment to spray this stuff and to bring in the gravel and stuff that would be required. So I've asked Wayne and TJ to come tonight to give their input about how this could improve it, and then Wayne can tell us about how the longevity, about how this might, how long it might last, and what maintenance is required and such. I went to work with aeronautics, and we wrote a grant. It was due the 15th of the month, and that's been submitted. And they were real optimistic that they might be able to help us with this. So, are you up?
Great.
Did they have the number, the approximate number?
Yeah, we have an approximate, and I'm a little bit low because we didn't have it in when it was, TJ had it done, but I did reach back out to aeronautics, and they said that's okay. Some places don't use all their money, so you got the grant in. I had to go up there a couple times because I just couldn't do it on my computer. But I think we're going to be real close. So
What did we put in for?
well, we put in for 117,000, which is lower than between the two, between the counties, what they need and what dust pods will need. But I did reach out to Karen, and she said, well, we'll see what we get here. So I just used those numbers. At the time, that was the numbers I had.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it didn't cost us 27 grand to put that paperwork in.
Well, I know, it just kept going up, yeah. I know, it just kept going up, and Lance did offer to help out with this, but I don't know if he would have charged us or if it was a goodwill thing, but, for the little bit, it took me a couple hours to go up there and visit with Karen, and she was very, very helpful with us. And
She is. She knows that process.
Yeah, and getting it done.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, Wayne, I can Whenever you're ready, I can, you just let me know what slide is next and I'll just do it, control it.
Can he see the slides as they are now?
Can you see the slides?
Yeah, I can. And you can move to the next slide. So I'll give you guys a little bit of an introduction because now getting some of that information, we will need to speak with the county to see what their involvement will be because that will obviously change the quote. But this will give you an idea. And basically, it's verbatim, but the polymeric stabilization is used in applications where traditional methods of stabilization have yielded unsuccessful results, such as mag chloride. Dustpod's polymeric products combined with existing soil bind together the surface by creating a tight bond between aggregate and soil, creating high levels of compaction. Combining dustpods and best practices will create a solid surface that is constantly mechanically impacting and ultimately achieving high-level stabilization and long-term dust control solution. And what we mean by that is traditional methods are generally coming in the form of non-environmentally friendly applications such as mag chloride. And being you're very close to a water system, obviously this is a very smart decision to go with an environmentally safe product that isn't going to leach into your water system. It's not required by law, but it's definitely what we should be doing. And our product will give you that kind of compaction that you need for an airport for long term. And now Dustpods itself is a single application. And then you'll see as we move through this presentation, there's also Surf Lock. And I will talk about that as well, which is an additional suggestion that we made after observing the site. So if you want to move to the next page, they said, move to.
The next one?
Yeah. Yes, you can move to the next one. Yeah, there you go. So phase one, after the residents had the appropriate amount of material added by the county to achieve a minimum of 4 inches of additional plating, and it is being evenly distributed the length of the runway, we can then begin the shaping and grading process. And while we're shaping and grading the process, doing that process, we'll grade the surface and incorporate the dust pods by our water truck at each layer as we're shaping it, as we're moving it. And the reason for that is the polymer works like a cement slab. So we're trying to bind all those materials together as one unit. And we need to mix that in with a road grader and apply it in multiple layers as we're going through. And with that, you're going to be able to get a pretty quick result. And that's just using dust pods. And that's a relatively cheap process, which is what I originally quoted Dwight, and it probably comes in about, I think from memory, about $34,000 cheaper than the quote. So if you want to move to the next page, phase 2. After the specified amount of polymer has been mixed in, we begin the rolling process, making 10 to 14 passes to ensure a tight compacted surface with 18 plus static tons of force. And during that rolling and compaction phase, we'll maintain optimum moisture content to ensure a tight bond. That's more of a chemical thing. We just have to keep it at that moisture level as we're continuing to roll to get the tightest level of compaction. Any fine tuning of the surface shape will be completed during that phase. If there's any small spots, any uneven areas, that is the point when we will do that final pass. And with that, you're going to get a tight compacted surface. So, does anybody have any questions up to that point?
No, I'm good.
Wayne, I have a question. What about moisture?
Sorry, I don't have my earphone in. Sorry, go ahead.
What about moisture when you put the water on and freezing? Does that break up the runway?
Does it break up the runway?
Yeah, but you said it's like cement.
Sorry, repeat that question.
I'm sorry. You said it creates a layer like cement. I was wondering if you got moisture there and you freeze, is that going to break up the runway? with thawing and freezing?
Not at all. So it's actually a tighter compaction than you can achieve with regular dirt or gravel, but it remains with a higher plasticity index, which makes it flexible, which is why we don't get potholes or raveling or washboarding in any of our road surfaces that we treat. It actually stays flexible, but manages the moisture level in the road, so that when the moisture comes, it sheds off to the side and takes in what it can, and that will rejuvenate the polymer, but it will not take in more than what it can handle, which means it will stay bound together. Freeze thaw is one of our most successful scenarios. When you have a massive freeze thaw situation, even if you're going through 8 or 9 of them at the end of the season, that's when our product really shines through, because there's no other product on the market that can do it quite as well.
So Dwight's question made me think of a question additionally, and that's, what are the temperature ranges in which you can actually put this material down? Does it have to be before we get into winter conditions, or can it be done relatively cold conditions?
Well, it can be done during relatively cold conditions. As long as the water is not frozen, we can do our job. But the additional problem that comes with the cold weather is the drying time. So as long as we have patience and we can continue to monitor and roll it, because in a normal situation, 2 to 3 days of drying will absolutely cure out this product. But when you have cold weather, that can be extended, and if you have wet weather in between, which generally comes with doing it outside of the regular, road work seasons, you tend to find more rain. I mean, that's pretty much standard. So it's always possible. You can always get it done. You can always finish it. It's just sometimes it will prolong the job completion date if you do it too early in the year or too late. Either way.
Are we too late at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say. I would say most likely. What is your current low temperatures?
Well, we're freezing. We got down into single digits where I live last night.
That's
so
definitely.
It's not going to work.
It passed us. The time passed us by. But we do have great weather in March and April at times. Obviously, there's no guarantee with Mother Nature, but I think we talked that we know the end date of when you have to get this done, and we would make sure that was done, no matter what. I mean, there's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. But as long as the weather is somewhat reasonable, then we can make it work. I think some of the pictures in here were in Alaska, which is, it rained. The only time it wasn't raining is when I took those pictures. It's a true story. So if you guys have any other further questions on the initial part, I can touch base on this final phase, and then we can come back to the initial part if you like. So I'll just kind of finish this off. During the final stages of compaction, the polymer curing begins will require 2 to 3 days of dry weather to achieve its tightest compaction numbers. During this period, the air strip will be fully operational after 1 day of drying. The secondary portion of our quote listing dust pod surf liquid polymer would be applied after curing is complete. So you would need all those. If there's an extension of non-dry days and we extend the product, this liquid polymer cannot be applied until it's fully dry. That's one of well, it's not a recommendation, it's how it is. There's no other way around it. But that liquid polymer is something that we would normally say for a scenario where there's no maintenance, potential future maintenance going to be done, either that or any fugitive dust whatsoever could be an issue. We choose to recommend Surf Lock. Now, Surf Lock is expensive, it's liquid, and it has to be shipped, so it's about $20 20-something thousand on the quote that I sent you guys, plus freight. So we could avoid that and look at it in a two-step process to where we did it just the normal way that we do with the dust spots, like we had in phase 1 and phase 2, and you could assess it and see if that's acceptable for you. Just knowing that there's no problem waiting 2 months to go and apply the liquid polymer. It doesn't matter if you do it 3 days after or 30, 60, 90 days after. It's just what's your expectations in between. Because dust spots will take care of your dust to what I would call about a 95% level. And you're still going to have a small amount of dust because there is sand, there is fines that will come loose from that road surface, but it will be flat and it will be smooth and it will be barely noticeable dust. But I always like to say that you will be able to see a little bit, and you have to understand that it's not liquid mag chloride. Mag chloride gives a wet look, we do not. But if we choose to do the liquid polymer application after, then you will get the best of both worlds. You get basically a sealed road that would be the equivalent of pavement on top of that already stabilized subgrade. So that is the advantage of using the surf lock after the fact. And that is why I quoted it, because after seeing the whole picture, that made sense to me in a perfect world, but it's expensive, and I don't expect everybody to agree with that being necessary in this situation. That would be your decision.
Excuse me, what is the drying time or curing period for the surf lock once it's been applied? Before it's usable?
About the same amount of time. We just try to keep traffic off of it for 24 hours with the surf lock. Because it's a wet application, and the way we apply it is we spray it on just like in the top right picture there. It gets sprayed on the surface. The very first application, we use a smooth thrown roller or a tire roller and roll it into the top ½ inch. And then every other application after that until we're finished applying will be just liquid and letting it dry. Liquid, letting it dry. It's not a terribly long process because there's only 3 coats, maximum 4, but it does take a few days, to do it.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody have any further questions?
After you've essentially, gone through the process, and I'd say break it down into both the 2 components you've been talking about, what do you believe longevity would be based upon your experience with road surfaces?
I believe 1 to 2 years. 2 years being the long end before you need to do any maintenance to it at all. For the initial dust plugs application, with the surf lock, I expect it to last 3, 5, maybe even longer. I believe with the amount of use you have with traffic out there or lack thereof, it would last a very long time with the liquid.
So you really recommend to actually get the true value out of both components to actually use the surf lock to give us that additional.
And I've tried my hardest to get that thing cheaper because it kills me knowing how cheap we could do the initial phase. But unfortunately, that's just the best option that's out there at the moment.
Right. So the difference in cost between the 2 is, you do phase
about 30,000 different.
Okay.
To add the surf lock is almost like doing the job twice, as far as cost wise.
Okay. So the total overall cost you would have for the project?
I believe that was 6. Sorry, I thought I had that off. It was 67 total if we did the whole thing.
Right.
Let me just bring that. 67,275. That's the labor to do it, the equipment. There is no other cost. The only thing you would need to supply us would be a place to go to get water. That would be all. And if I have to pay for it, I will. That's no problem.
And then prior to that, we're putting the gravel down or the, the initial material that you're gonna work with.
Yeah, and they'll probably just have a loader out there, if I had to guess, and all they need to do is push it in place. Or if they're gonna stockpile it because it's going to take a long time and you want to keep the airport operational, that would be my only suggestion, would be to try to interlock this in with the same timing that once this gravel is laid out, and it would be great if we could get in there right after. That way you can minimize the amount of downtime on the airport. No, I'm not sure if that's an issue or not.
So when you and TJ looked at that runway, you thought it needed 4 inches of additional material, so the existing strip bed will just basically remain, and then we add 4 inches, is that correct?
Yes, and what we would do is we would try to minimize the waviness, and I'm not sure how many people in this meeting have seen the topography of the airport. And I think Dwight probably has more to offer in that area, whether we need to or not. But ultimately, the dips and valleys, the peaks and valleys are around about 10 inches, 10 to 12 inches. So we would have to cut some of those down and mix it in. And we're hoping that bringing in the 4 inches or 4 to 6 would be ideal. That will give us enough material to fill those valleys as well as cut into the peaks and try to level it out and get it as level as possible. I mean, perfection's hard not to try for, right? Because it's an airport, it needs to look good. And it needs to be perfect. In my world, that would be your decision. How much work you want us to do to the topography. Do you have any pictures of that, Dwight, at all?
I don't. I think everybody here has been to the airport
Okay.
and has looked at it. Just to remind you, Wayne, that these aircraft here that are using that aircraft or that airstrip are on the slower side of airplanes, and a little bit of a dip isn't a real big thing other than the visual thing. But they're not taking off a landing, at 100 miles an hour or so.
Okay, so it's not noticeable
no.
in an aircraft, is what you're saying?
Not so much. It's
Okay.
those dips. It's not like speed bumps or anything like that. So I think they
Right.
come to you pretty slow, and you're over them. And question for you, Wayne, is when Rob was asking about the maintenance after 2 to 4 years, what is required for the maintenance? Do they have to tear it up again, or just roll it, or what do you have to do for the required maintenance when it's 2 years out?
If you choose, so there's 2 answers to that question. If you chose to do just the dust pods, the reapplication would be scratching the surface and doing a light mix of dust pods, say every year or 2 years, and then rolling it back in. Most likely would take probably 1 day to do. If you choose to go down the liquid polymer route, there will be no degradation to the road and there will be no changes. So all you do is come back in and do 1 or 2 coats of the liquid polymer at a later date, and it 100% restores it right back to where it was, because the base and subgrade will not move. Does that answer your question?
I think I've been visiting with TJ about this, and he has some other ideas and thoughts. That they have some slow time during the winter. Next spring, when the other airport is torn up, and they're going to be very busy moving those fines and that material off, and so they may have some slow time during the winter that they could truck this material in. I don't see any problem with just closing the airport when they just during the winter months. It's not open at nighttime anyway, and if we could save a little bit by letting them just kind of work on their schedule, that might work. And I know TJ's put a lot of time into looking at what they have to help out with this project, and you might want.
And our prices would just get lower if that was the case.
Yeah.
We would just keep deducting the labor off, because the more they can do, the better off you are, really.
Do you want
Doesn't hurt out
to speak to
so.
it, TJ?
Wayne, are you done with your presentation for the PowerPoint? Are you done with your are you done with your PowerPoint? Can I get out of it?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I got one further question for you with regard to other stabilization systems. After I got your information, I looked into other polymer systems. There's a Midwest Industries one called Secure for runways. Are you familiar with that system and its durability?
I am familiar with it, and it's all, without sounding wrong, it's a copy of the liquid polymer.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Right.
So actually, the guy who generated the liquid polymer for me, that's his father, and he stole it.
Okay. Well, that's good insight. And then the other product.
For his Thanksgiving.
Yeah. The other product is one also an aviation product called Cypher Solutions, and they call theirs Dust Blocker. You familiar with that one?
I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, this is one that's being used, I guess, in a variety of different airports, and also up in Canada, and they talk about all their environmental controls and things. So
Yeah,
I was
I'm
just
sure
curious.
It's a polymer of some type.
It is.
Yeah.
They're doing the same sort of thing.
Did you get any pricing? Most of those people won't give you pricing.
No, I haven't. I just looked into your product today, and then just looked to see if there's anything else that popped up, and so I was just curious.
Yeah. The as far as the other companies out there, the majority that I see vary between. The only way I can tell you is the way I know per mile. Most every product on the market is between 9,000 a mile and 32,000 a mile.
Okay.
And there's no rhyme or reason which one could go either way. They all work. They all do something. And without dust pods, you're talking, 5,100 a mile compared to those. And
Right.
it's much easier to apply. And I would highly encourage the county to consider, working with us on that, because
Yep.
if you can do that, I'm happy to come out there and train you the whole time. If you guys wanted to do the project, and we would just bill you for the product, and I don't mind. That's what we normally do, but we try to help people out when they need it, and if there's projects that are needed that we feel the client would most likely get screwed over by a contractor, that's when we step in, and that's I feel like this is one of those scenarios. If you go to a contractor, it's gonna cost you a fortune.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
One last quick question before TJ jumps up here. You have no problem with the 4 inches of material going down months ahead of time?
No, not at all.
That's fine?
Actually, the sooner the better, because if it's during a time when there's weather conditions, then, exposed gravel and fill material will really soak up a lot of water. So any amount of time after you've put it down actually helps, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. TJ, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, I'm TJ Gravely. I am the Public Works Director. Dwight and Commissioner Fulford asked me to put this together for you guys as far as what it would cost for the county road crew to put this together. I don't know if you guys have a copy of my bid that I put in. It's just kind of a rough estimate. You'd be about $34,000 just in gravel. And as Commissioner Fulford spoke to about applying it, laying it down right now, if the product is available at Capital Concrete, which is about 3 miles from the site, which is ideal for us. It's a quick turnaround time. There'd be about 147 loads on it. And when we put it down, it would be put down in lifts. Pardon me. That way when we come back to, if you guys decide to do this with the dust pods, that we'd be able to activate it and work with Wayne on this. I would put 2 graders on it, and my prices are based off of the FEMA scale as far as for equipment. When we do jobs, if we do jobs like this, that is what we use. So I'd have 2 graders, a water trailer, a water truck, a roller, 4 dump trucks, and I would have 4 guys on it. The only variable that I cannot answer right now is the water. We were in a contract with the city getting water, and that contract ended now in November, or I guess it ended in October. With the new water tower going in, I can't tell you what those rates are going to be. If we go into another contract with them, as far as we were kind of trading back and forth, we would do grading for them in exchange for the water. With the water tower going up, the rate increases, I'm assuming that's going to change a little bit. So I did put $5,000 worth of water into it. My number is subject to change because I figured it'd take 120 hours to do this job if we could stay on it without any weather delays. Right now would be a perfect time to be out there laying this down. We don't have snow coming. I guess we do have snow coming, but we don't have any large volumes of snow coming for us. It would be our slow time. I could put every truck on it as long as Capital Concrete had the material on hand. And right now that's exactly what they're doing, is crushing road mix, which would be what would be put on this. I would be very curious to see how good this works. That way I could incorporate it into the roadside, because mag chloride is extremely expensive. It's extremely corrosive. I have tried another product we thought was going to work well. It did not work out quite so well. So I'm curious to see how this would work for the county side, so we could make our roads better as well. My total bid that I come up with was $73,679.40.
And that does not include working it in. That's dust pods.
That's doing all the work. That's working it in. The dust pods is separate. My time that I've got figured into this is incorporating all this material in there.
It's just the price of the dust pods per se.
So
Yes.
you're looking at the 73 for him, but the 67
That
for him.
I can't speak for Wayne, but I think that would be greatly reduced because his bid has a lot of freight into it. And what else do you have in here, Wayne?
The liquid polymer is the huge part. The freight, you can't avoid that. That needs to be, if you choose the liquid, you would choose that. Where it would come out would be in the application and the rolling and shaping. So I believe it would come down probably closer to 55.
And that
Based on what you're
includes,
saying.
and that includes the polymer?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure that we can sharpen our pencil if need be, if you get down to it, especially if you're looking at this and we're also training the county to work towards the future for your roads department. I'm happy to negotiate.
Okay, so I apologize. So just to clarify with both of you, so the 73K from the county is for the material and the labor and the mixing in of the dust pod product.
The 73K, that does not count the gravel.
Oh, the gravel is
Your
34.
gravel is $14 or $15.68 a yard. It's going to take over 2,200 yards.
So that was 34. So we're
34,496.
73 and 55.
So you're in like 162 then.
What was the 73 number, the rest of it?
73 was for his bid of like the labor.
Even,
No, it
73,000?
was something.
72,679, 40 cents. 40, yeah.
73,679.
73, okay.
So that brings it to 162-ish.
Probably close to 170. Once you figure
And if
it
TJ was laying that out and blading it out, I looked at my quote, you would remove at least 10,000. That one line item for taking out the peaks and valleys, that would be just gone, which is 10,000.
So 162.
Any further questions for TJ?
No.
That's his bid.
Right, I just didn't want to keep you up here all night. If anybody's got any more questions for TJ.
Yeah. Thanks for putting all that together. Appreciate it. That's really great.
You know, if this works, I hope, great.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like the sound of it.
I'm curious to see how it works.
thank you.
You bet,
Really
thank you.
appreciate it.
So Dwight, at the 160 to 170 range, what is your feeling on Montana Aeronautics?
Well, they've been very supportive. You know, the aeronautics has been using the airport every year. They've selected us to use the airport for their ACE program. You know, I tried to make this as a no cost to the county project, and you know, I'm not sure if the county will help us out if we come up a little short. My feeling from Karen is that they're looking at having a good year with money, and very supportive of us giving it a shot. You know, they won't give us an answer until February, so that gives us time to wait till February and see what we get, and then you know, I don't know. I hate to crunch TJ's schedule, but you know, now's the time if they could, whenever they could start in their slow time. But you know, but my feeling is I think we'll get some help from aeronautics, you know, with what we put in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Your
don't
initial-
hold me to the fire on it.
Yeah.
Your initial request was for
117.
117.
Yeah.
TJ, I have a question for you. If you say you're putting that on with dump trucks and you're going to spread it, would it be a usable surface when there's not a truck on there?
Yes.
Okay.
And as I said before, that number that I've laid out there, the 173, that is at 120 hours. So that's 3 weeks' work for the road department. If we can do it less, obviously that number would be down. But when I built that, I had to do best case scenario
Yeah.
when I did that.
Great. So really the next steps on this decision-making process is pursuing Montana Aeronautics, which unfortunately doesn't work great for your schedule, but I mean, we can't commit to 100 grand and not know if we got the grant.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to amend or let them know somehow that we're looking more at the 165 range? Do you think that's
Yeah,
doable?
I did. I called Karen.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, when I got TJ's quote there, I said we're a little low. This was on Monday. The grant was due last Friday.
Yeah.
So, and she did say that, you know, there's ways to, you know, there's a lot of counties. I think our county we gave some money back a year or two ago back to them. And so, yeah, so it can be amended. Yeah.
Okay.
And I put in the grant that was a rough estimate.
Yep.
So, yeah, but you know, that makes us about $50,000 short. You know, that's you know, it's not like a few thousand off. So
Yeah. So unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to take advantage of the county's immediate free time. What would that look like? I mean, is that possible to do in late winter? Or I don't know if that's logistically that works.
Ground is frozen.
If you can tell me what Mother Nature's going to do, I can
Yeah.
answer that question for you. Typically, I would like to see an early March break to where weather would start turning spring-like. Right now is the optimal time for us because, as you guys well know, with that airport being tore up, the Townsend Airport next year, we've got that whole milling job as well. Right down on that road. We also have another huge job in the south end of the county next summer. I can't even put a number on how many days that's going to take us, where they're going to mill the whole interstate from the Three Forks exit to the other Three Forks exit. And we're taking all that material and putting it on our county roads. So our optimal grading time is going to get shortened greatly next summer.
So it sounds like Wayne, I'm sorry, said April is fine for him. So if, I mean, what gets to be too late for you, March or April?
April starts to really push it.
Yeah. So we'd have to have
Here's a scenario I'm looking at right now. If this grant is so awarded in February, if February's open, we could lay the gravel down in February. As long as we
should really be early February, in fact, because the meeting is in January where they listen to all the proposals and requests, and it's usually not very long after that they've got their act and done and their stuff in order, and they can tell you if there's money there.
February 5th. February 5th is their decision.
Yeah, see, that leaves us quite a bit of time in February.
If Farmer's Almanac is correct, we could be in a lot of trouble. But it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like I said, once you start getting into April, you know, you're talking second week in April, it really starts pushing us. If the gravel's down, I think that we can blow through that project relatively quick. Like the week quick. You put 2 blades on there, you're going to blade that whole thing out, lay your dust pods down through there. It could be done probably, I'll give you a best case, 3 days.
Wow.
So we'd have to find a week of decent weather sometime between February 5th and latter part of March, probably.
A lot of praying going on too.
Yeah.
So Bob, how much snow do you get there? You've been there a while.
Yeah. Like TJ says, tell me what Mother Nature's going to do.
Well, I mean, how much do you see when it's bad?
As a rule, it blows clear.
That's what I thought.
As a rule, Canyon Ferry blows clear.
Yeah.
But
The Townsend Airport will drift and
Right.
so on, but as a rule, Canyon Ferry blows clear.
Right.
If we've got 1.5 feet or 2 feet of snow and 45-mile-an-hour winds, it won't be clear.
that puts 3 feet in the mountains that we have to plow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
That's the
possible.
problem.
I mean, you've seen it be clear, so.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yeah.
most years it does blow
Yeah.
clear.
And if this is so awarded, we could do it in stages, I think, on the gravel end of it. I believe. Because the haul, a 6-mile round trip with 4 trucks, they're going to be passing one another on that.
Would it be worth asking Karen if there were some other avenues that Montana Aeronautics could come up with to supplement even some of that until kind of like a
I don't
secondary
know of
level?
any. I really don't know of any.
Yeah, I don't think so. You know, the board, that's their meeting where they meet with all the engineers and all the projects around the state, and they just go right down alphabetical order from each airport. And so I don't think they look at it before then. Well, the question I have, you know, it is a county airport, and we have 2 commissioners here now. Can we ask the commission, to put some gravel down, just like Bob had mentioned, is a runway usable after you put down the gravel? We could still layer it and use it. And is that something that the commission would consider, you think? Or how do we ask? I don't know.
In other words, we'd be asking our county to float this until
Yeah.
aeronautic funds
Come through. But what if
hopefully
we
come
don't?
in.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be like putting down gravel on a county road, I guess. I mean, I'll probably get shot here for saying that.
Well,
Nobody's jumping up.
You never know.
Well, do our commissioners have any thoughts on that topic?
None.
Is it possible? Is it possible for us to ask the commission for that?
You can always ask.
You can always ask. We'd have to have that discussion in another public meeting.
Which again blows your perfect window right now, TJ.
I feel like your hands are kind of tied, you know, until
Mhm.
February. And if the weather lines, then you do it. But
Yeah, yeah.
if it doesn't, then, you know.
That's a good point. I mean, keep this in perspective. This isn't, you know, the end of the world. We want it to be done because our runway's being closed down and at the main airport. But I don't know that it's worth risking $100,000 of county money.
Let me
That-
throw this out there. So, as you well know, our original airport project up here was, engineers as it was $6 million, right? Came in at 4. So we turned $200,000 back to the state.
State or the Fed?
To the state.
State.
The state matched us 100%. They're gonna match us $600,000. They only have to match us now $400,000. So that's the extra money that Dwight's talking about. They have an extra $200,000 that was earmarked for us anyway.
Because the state was taking 10%,
Yeah.
and the feds were doing
Correct.
90. Yep.
Yeah, which, it was something that Lance wanted me to remind you of on our other discussion with the alternative added number 2. The state will still make that 100% match on that as well, so. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know how they look at that, but,
Another thing, Adam, we do have the capital improvement fund, and we were granted the total matching money from the feds.
Yeah, but I don't think we can use capital improvement funds on the Canyon Ferry
Canyon
Airport.
Ferry, that's what I was-
Okay.
It's not an FAA.
Only Townsend.
Yeah, so even with this additive alternate, the additional cost to the aeronautics is like $23,000 or something,
right,
25.
right,
And we turned back 200 to them already.
correct.
So there you go. Well, I think we do that, then I don't think we roll the dice and force a square peg in a round hole. We wait till we see if we have the funds from aeronautics. And if so, then we look for a window between February and March to get it done.
If it's not done, we'll do it after the other
Yeah,
report's done.
that seems to make a lot of sense to me.
Seems like there's always that weird time in February where it's 50 degrees and clear. So I'm betting it would happen. Fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely.
Have you talked to anybody out on the West Coast today?
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Glad I'm not working.
No, but I think, you know, we need to hang tight here, and we'll spend our money as we have it in hand.
Okay, so if everybody's good with it, we're going to table this discussion until we hear from Montana Aeronautics. Does that sound good? Okay,
However, I'm just gonna throw this out here. If a decision is made February 5th, but we don't have a meeting until the 3rd week of February, we're gonna lose that whole month.
We can call an extra
Call a special meeting.
So it's a
Okay.
special meeting, yeah.
I think that'd be worth us just getting together for 10
Absolutely.
minutes to have that discussion.
Yep.
I have a quick question. What, an aeronautics grant, how long do you have to use it up? I mean, do they have timeframe stipulations on it? Does anyone know?
Oh, most of the time it's expected to be used in the next year.
Within a calendar year of being
Well,
awarded?
yeah.
Okay. And then the second question I'd have for Wayne is possibly, if it did get extended out, how much he sees as far as price variability in the product. Just-
There'll be no price variability.
Okay, just if it got pushed 4, 5, 6 months, what we'd be
Yeah.
looking at if we had to account for something extra.
No,
Okay.
your quote is only going to get cheaper from here, so I wouldn't be worried. No changes.
Okay.
Well, ideally, we want the best job possible here.
Yeah.
All done on the runway, and it seems like when we rush things, well, it goes the other direction. So,
The other option, Wayne, I don't know how long you said till the phase 3 could be put on after phase 2, but could it be put on a year later? We could put in for another aeronautics grant for phase 3.
I would never say never, but that would be based on a site visit. You would have to see what condition it is, but I would be pretty confident that that's a yes, but I wouldn't want to say a firm yes without taking a look at it.
Well, we could maybe
A
see.
year would be as far as I would push it.
Yeah. Well, that'd be another option we could do, is put in for another grant next year for the phase 3 if we didn't get what we needed.
Where are you out of, Wayne?
Great Falls, Montana.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, right next door.
right next door.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's push pause on this conversation for a few months here and see where we're at. Any further questions before we let Wayne go? Great. We sure appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate it too.
And thank you, TJ, for your work on it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready to move on. I believe either Dwight or Bob might have an update on fuel system for us.
I do. I visited with Mr. Kirk Brumfield. He's the owner of Marketing Specialties and Billings, Petroleum and Industrial Equipment Sales and Service. They do complete fuel systems, such as what we're looking, other than tank and pump. But they'll come in and it's a turnkey operation. He's gonna try and get up here sometime in the next week or two. He would let me know. And hopefully we can get Adam and Dwight and maybe Daryl in there, so you have some feeling and touch bases with the other commissioners need be. But they just finished this last summer. They finished a complete new fuel system for Edwards Aviation Billings, and they just finished one. He told me the name of it, and I don't know where it is. It's what he was saying, and there was an echo, but it sounded like it was brick something. But there was a brand new FBO there, and they had him come in and put a fuel system in. And don't hold me to it, but it seemed to me we were talking about $34,000 for the whole thing turnkey.
That's with the tank?
No,
Okay.
no, that's with the credit card reader and all the stuff that goes with that.
Okay, not the pumps.
Not the pump, not the tank.
Was it a
But
specific-
he
specific
said he
brand?
would, when he comes up here, he'll look at it, and if he sees anything else, he'll give us as many quotes as we desire, and we can pick and choose.
Okay. Cool.
So, very, very nice individual. That's the second time I've visited with him. I stopped down there Monday, and he'd gone hunting last week and come back and he had a cold, so he went home an hour before I got there Monday. So I just had to visit with him on the phone. But we will keep following up on this.
Great.
So does this include that compliance requirement in terms of the credit cards and all that stuff?
I'm sure it does.
Okay.
I mean, if we have to abide by it, so does everybody else.
Yep, okay.
So,
So then, again, we're incurring the yearly cost associated with that
well,
service.
it's like Adam said, what was it you said a while ago? In the last couple of months we put into the fuel system.
Acre. Roughly, you said.
How much was it?
8, you said?
Yeah, $8,000, I think is what we
$8,000.
just
Yeah,
approved.
I mean,
Yeah,
like 25% of,
yeah, right, exactly. No, it needs to be
Close.
replaced.
it needs to be
about
replaced. It's 20-some years old, and
No, you don't.
you can't even read
Yeah,
what you're
no,
getting for fuel.
It needs to be replaced. No
It's like we
question.
just put a new transmission in an '83 Buick.
State of the art, that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so to be continued, and you didn't have any other information on that, okay?
Yeah, we should have a much better, complete report next time.
Yeah,
Okay.
great. Happy to go out and meet with everybody.
I will make sure we get a hold of everybody when he's coming up.
Okay, are we ready to discuss new leases for current hangar owners?
We are. I guess maybe first off, what was the discussion on it before from the board? Maybe, because I wasn't here.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but the gist of it was we have a new lease in place, and so what to do with the current leaseholders? Do we send out an addendum
Okay.
that they sign? Do we give them a new lease? And we didn't know the answer to that discussion.
And are they required to sign it?
Are they required to sign it, and what happens when they say, nah, no thanks?
And the other part of it was, the city had dropped off airport
Mhm.
involvement,
Right.
and so it's only the county, and the current lease is city and county.
I don't know if the new one says that. The new one.
The new lease, just county.
The new
The
one.
landlord change.
Yeah, it's county only for the new lease.
Yeah, on the new one. Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
old
Oh, I think your old lease says.
Old one was
Yes.
city and county, and so
Right.
we were thinking there'd be a requirement for a new lease because it's county
Exactly.
only.
I do remember that part.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So basically, we're looking for guidance.
Hi, I'm
Hey.
Kaylin Miner. I'm a deputy county attorney here in Broadwater. Hey, wait, let me take off my jacket and stay a while. I just realized I still had it on. I was so cold. Well, we've gone rounds and rounds and rounds regarding this lease issue. And I will try to address all of the board's concerns. Thank you all for having me, and I really look forward to working closer with you all because there are some other matters that I want to address at the airport board coming forth, not related, well, maybe related to leases, but anyhow, that's for a different day. So, the dropping off, I'll start with your point, sir, because I wrote it down first, but it was last. But anyway.
Thank you.
The dropping off of the city as an entity does not require us to enter into a new lease or to renegotiate our leases. It doesn't affect, it doesn't make like it a legal impossibility for like those leases to continue to exist. You know what I mean? So it doesn't like say, no, city's not in it. I think it would be prudent to obviously get the leases updated so that they are accurate and currently reflect the necessary players and whatnot. But what I would need to do to give you a final legal answer on that is to look at some of those older leases and identify if the city does have an obligation that's unique from the county's obligation and lease, or if those two parties were just kind of smushed together as one, right? And if they did have specific obligations, it may have a little bit more of a trigger action. Like, well, the city's not here, and they said that they were going to do X, Y, and Z in the lease, and now they're not here, so that can't physically happen. That's going to be that threshold that we're going to have to examine going forward with regard to those older leases, based on the fact that the city has dropped off. Another thing I'd really like to look at is the number of leases, who holds the leases. I'm sure you have this, I'm sure. Miss Lewis, is that correct? Yes, okay. I didn't want to call you by your first name and not give you all the due respect, but I'm sure that she has a spreadsheet, and I would really like to actually look at that, see where we're standing, and so we can all be on the same page for a future discussion on who's got what dates that original leases were entered into, extension dates, et cetera, et cetera. Also, the duration of the extension is going to be really important because, to your point, ma'am, is are they required to? No, they're not. Again, unless there's some sort of legal impossibility that arises, I don't think that we can force or require as a board for somebody to to accept new terms and conditions, because there are new terms and conditions. Furthermore, addressing it as an addendum, that could be a possibility if there are particular terms within the lease. You know, the leases are broken down into different sections, and all those sections are denoted by a heading. If any of those headings and the sections underneath them are obsolete now, then yes, we need to address that. And we need to be proactive before a problem happens and we go, oh, what do we do about this now? We didn't think about it. So we should, again, go through those older leases, see if there's anything like that. And we could address things like that with an addendum. So
Or a
that,
safety concern.
yes, we can definitely, yes, addendums could be used to address new safety concerns, notice someone up to a new policy or procedure, things of that nature, or to simply figure out or how to deal with something that maybe has become obsolete as far as wording, but we can't do it to force them into a different lease or specifically take out specific language or add specific language without, I mean, there really needs to be a good reason to do it. It's just not a time to, I say this all the time, fiddlestick. Don't fiddlestick with it, okay? But sometimes there is a good legal reason to fiddlestick with it. So if there are particular issues, if there are particular sections that you all are concerned about, let's just have those conversations offline and in public, actually. Let's have them offline so that we can all understand where the airport board is coming from, so that I can answer you all's questions beforehand, and then we can let our friends and our family and our community members know, here's where we stand, here's why we stand in this position. But we cannot force somebody to sign a new lease unless there is a legal precedence to do so, which again would go to the legal viability of a lease. If it's no longer legally operative because something in the law has changed, or something in an FAA regulation has changed, or something similar that would give us that authority. Oh, I haven't looked at Dwight yet. There he is. But for that situation, it would not be supportive to be aggressive and say, you've got to sign this, you got to do it, we're kicking you out. They have an interest, and the county and the city have long been respectful of those interests. And that's just where I said too much. But I wanted to really just let you all know that I'm hearing you, I'm listening to you, and I think we have a little bit of work to do to identify some problem areas that may or may not be of concern to you all. Is there anything that I can specifically address today other than the humongous answer I just gave you?
Yeah, something that came up, I actually keep my aircraft in Gallatin County because I live in Broadwater County across the Jefferson, but I'm 5 minutes from the airport there.
Okay.
And they forced us to sign a new lease because they simply wanted to increase the liability level. And so they came up with a new lease and incorporated into it a requirement of 1.5 million in liability, which was excessive. And an attempt was made to reason with the commissioners, which failed. And so that new lease was forced upon all of us down there.
Okay.
And so just to let you know, things like that have been done simply for the purpose of changing one very small aspect of the lease. There was other legal language that also changed, but it wasn't really significant in terms of impact, but the liability clause was.
Mm-hmm. And I cannot give you a response to that without researching that
Sure.
matter further. But I will be looking into things like that because if there was a reason, like they were going to lose, hypothetically speaking, they're going to lose all insurance coverage for the whole Gallatin Airport unless this action was taken, well, then there might have been an external pressure forced upon them. We don't know that yet.
I can give you some insight.
Oh, sure, if you wish.
Gallatin Field is totally independent of the county airport, which is the Three Forks Airport. And so they're completely different, apples and oranges in terms of the way it's handled. And so Three Forks is the only airport there that is actually covered under that lease.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for alerting me to that sort of situation happening. I'm going to imagine that it wasn't a very smooth process for you all as leaseholders.
No.
But you know what? I can say that as a county, I'm really confident. And as a city, I mean, I don't want to disregard the city, but they are out of the game right now. But as a county board, I think that we would not want to treat our leaseholders in an aggressive or unfair or unfriendly manner. That's my goal as a county attorney is to treat people well and to come to a great resolution. And so if we are going to proceed with these new leases, we do have a new lease. You said it, sir. We do have that new lease, but I think that we need to approach it from a very reasoned, measured, well-researched response as we move forward with the rollout of those leases. And absolutely as a no ifs, ands, or buts. If any leases are expiring soon, which Miss Lewis and I will make sure she is obviously tracking that, and you are as a board, there is not going to be an option to renew an old lease. I know that has happened in the past, and you know what? Hey, mistakes are made. Oversights happen, but we will be absolutely affecting the new lease because the new lease is designed to protect your interests and the county's interest as well. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for alerting me to that issue. That's very interesting.
Sure.
I'll work on that.
It's the reason I brought it up. It's because I think, we've seen something happen in Montana that was really quite an unexpected and kind of shocking experience for the leaseholders there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But to some extent, leases are modified every few years because the cost of the square footage goes up a little bit, or they add additional square footage or whatever.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, sir. And actually, I'm a proponent of a shorter lease. I have actively tried to shorten numerous leases across the county because the county and the boards that the county is a part you are subsections of our county. That's the wrong word, pardon me. We need to be able to negotiate. We do not want to have our hands tied forever and ever, and just like we don't want our leaseholders to have their hands, tied forever and ever. I'm not saying that's the case in this situation in particular, but what if we were charging an exorbitant lease amount and we realized it was like unconscionable and people couldn't afford it? I'm thinking more of like landlord tenant sort of stuff, right? You would want to be able to adjust that.
Sure.
Not exactly an apples comparison, but I can say on the record, am proponent of a shorter lease term just for that very reason. Sometimes things change. Laws change. Regulations change. The economy may crash and nobody can do anything. That could change too. And do we want to kick people out? No.
I don't think this board has any record of trying to do something like that.
I don't think so either. No, I think you all are wonderful, and that's why we're going to approach this in a continued open public dialogue and do it in the best, most gentle way possible. For where changes need to be made for good documented reasons, we will make those changes together.
Okay.
Yep. Any other concerns?
No, I think that's excellent advice. I think we're on the same page.
Okay, absolutely. And so what I really want to do, just to recap, is I really want to look at any particular issues in old leases that may require that active engagement by the board and actively presenting an addendum to certain leaseholders, or maybe all of them. You never know. If there's a provision that's glaring, that's causing problems, we do need to address it. And then we will work on getting a new lease before the people that do have that existing older lease. And we will work on how that actually gets implemented, and we will have a plan for that. It will not be a top-down, heavy-handed, get this or get your airport out, or get your aircraft out of the hangar. I mean, that's not in anybody's best interest. So I'm so excited, and that's all I can say at this point. I feel like there was something else I didn't hit. Chairman, did I miss something?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not at this time.
Okay, but the public needs to know we do have a new lease. We have to implement it. It's been implemented for good reasons. And maybe we need to have some stakeholder meetings with our lessees, and invite them. And I actually mentioned this in a letter. I don't know if it was to Ms. Lewis or Commissioner Fulford. I said maybe we just need to do a little bit more engagement as well.
Yeah, and so, I mean, with the new lease that we have in place now, we are good for as far as we can see. So everybody going forward, including the last several lessees, are on the new lease. That was the question, though, is the existing ones, if there was some glaring reason that we need to address that, so.
Well, yeah, barring any like illegal language or legal impossibility coming up, but we can look at that on a case-by-case basis,
Yeah.
sir, and we will absolutely do that. And it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to working with you guys. Just
Yeah,
let me
I think
know.
that's the smart way to go.
Yeah, it's a prudent and it's a measured way to go, and it's a caring way to go, to your point. Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
guys know where to
Thank you.
find me. I'm
Really
here all the
appreciate
time now. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So I don't need to do anything. This is what I got.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Albert, you have a update for us.
Parker, I called Parker and he is, needed a little more time. I just called him this week and I said, hey, where are you at with he had some questions that we took care of, and then he said, I just need a little more time. I said, I just needed to know what to tell the board, and that's what I'm telling you. And I finally got a hold of Scott, who's up higher up, and he had some questions too, so you win the prize for answering all the questions.
Oh, I get a prize?
First, you do. And so that's where we're at, Parker. And then I have Jan, and then that's the end of the list. So Parker needs a little more time.
Great. I don't think there's any fire that we can't give him some more time.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, Dwight, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, it's been kind of a busy month, and so kind of back up with 8U8 with Townsend. That's the big project we got coming on, and a couple of things that have been happening there is we had mentioned last summer sometime about trying to find out the usage of the airports, and we talked about putting motion cameras out there. So I put a motion camera out there. It's tied to the PAPI, and the first week we averaged about 12 takeoffs and landings that day for the week, and then last week we averaged, it went down to 9. So
How far down the runway is the Pappy? Does anybody know?
well, and I just have it so it shoots straight across over towards the taxiway so planes coming in or going through or taking off to the north, we're going to capture them, and if they land to the south and turn in, if they do a touch and go, I'm not going to catch them. But if they're coming in from the north, but yeah. So that's.
So we might only have half the operations.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Okay.
And it seems like the wind has been coming out of the south here more than usually out of the north, but it's been south here for quite a bit. The next thing is I think Dale can help speak to this, is that the power, Northwest Energy power for the new hangar owners, we're going to have to get power to them. The FAA grant we have is for the lighting system and such, but it's not for power to the hangars. So we need to get a quote get a quote from Northwest Energy of putting in a backbone electrical system to that, and I think that's going to be on our shoulders.
To the new taxiway.
The new taxiway and hangars.
Hangars, yes.
Yeah.
I
Is that how you understand that, Daryl?
Yeah, I can add to that. So Lance was busy this week finalizing this particular, our new grant. So they're going to be working on that. He said they'll be able to assist us with the diagram and the layout where it should be. And we'll have to approach Northwest Energy and see what that is.
Okay.
And I'll need to get that information to Northwest so they can give us a quote, because
Right.
they'll need all that.
And the
so-
plan is to have it done, the spring before the project starts. If they're gonna be in there tearing stuff up, that's probably the time to do it, right? And then I think Northwest Energy, their engineers will determine how they wanna do that
Sure.
and let us know, so.
Well, yeah, he's gonna have to work with Lance and all his engineering anyway. so.
Right.
So that's about the changes for 8U8. 8U9, Canyon Ferry is, a month ago we really weren't talking about, or 2 months ago we really weren't concerned about what's happening out there. Well, one of the things that we thought about was that the 2 flight instructors in town are considering moving their operations out there while our county airport is down, and some hangar owners will move out there. So I thought we had a little bit more a tie-down area than what we have. Adam and I went out there, and we have 4 tie-down areas. So looked at ways to put in some more tie-downs, and that is rock out there. And Jess's husband Dylan offered his assistant Daryl, but I think the orders that they have really is not going to get through that rock. So I checked with Andrew Christensen from Flying No Fencing, and he's going to come out with a skid steer with an auger and punch some holes. I picked up some sono tubes, and I'll just get some bag Crick-Rite and Crick-Rite and fill those in with some eye bolts, and I think we'll be good. But I think we can more than double or kind of make it like a T-hanger to put in additional tie-down area there at very minimal cost. One of the things that was asked on this grant for this application was how much usage we're getting there. So that was when I pulled the trigger, went ahead and got a motion camera for out there. Turns out I had it too high, and you'd have to be one of Jess's big planes going by to catch it at 100 feet off the ground. So I've got that readjusted. We're going too fast.
Then we would worry about the
So I really don't have the accurate numbers for usage at Canyon Ferry on that yet. But and then other than just working through the grant process for that, it's been, from the original cost that we got, things just keep stair-stepping up, but I guess when the big picture that I'm learning is it's what costs for road work and stuff. This is not a real big deal, but it is for us when we're a small county, and every dollar is looked at. So that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, it's really a pretty short road compared to what you guys are doing.
Yeah, how many miles do you take care of, TJ?
Maintained miles, well, county miles, there's 800, or just under 800. Maintained miles is right around probably 750, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're 3,300.
We're 0.6.
Oh, I guess we're wide. So triple it there. Yeah. So
plus we're kind of whiny in particular.
Oh, and then the last thing that I checked on was that snowplow thing with Helena, and we're kind of on the wait watch with that, and there's some red tape we have to go through. So I'm gonna see what TJ may have available for us at some point and come crying on his steps.
What do you guys have in your CLP?
Yeah.
So have we had any issues with people not being able to get fuel or anything like that? What's going on?
Don't ask.
Oh,
Knock on wood, we haven't had any issue. Everything's been going great.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
I'm just curious. I'm thinking about coming up and
Purposely left it out. Things have been going great. No,
I don't have a lot of extra there right now.
Yeah. So it's been working. One of the display markers is out on the pump.
I was there today.
Yeah,
Saw that.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's tired.
It's tired. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dwight.
And thanks for putting in those cameras. That was a good call.
Yeah, awesome.
It's probably exciting to go out there and check them.
Yeah, check some wild.
Yeah, it's like a game camera.
Well, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Okay, fuel pricing, the wholesale price now is $4.07. We have somewhere between 8,000 and 8,500 gallons left in the tank. The gauge and the meter didn't match, which our gauge is tired, which we'll bring up to the new guys. But anyway, are we at 550 or 575?
550.
550. Okay, so we're still pretty competitive.
Yeah.
As depending on what prices do, if they follow historical norms, we may want to drop our price to maybe $5.25 or something, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. As other airports renew their fuel and start to lower their prices, we want to remain as reasonable as we possibly can be. So no change there.
And my question, our fuel cells for this last month, are they comparable to a year ago?
I didn't look year over year. They're down considerably from last month.
One of the reasons I
Would have
think
been
that they could be
expected.
down is I think we've lost some confidence in people flying here to get fuel. I
Yeah,
really do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at those numbers.
I'm still getting telephone calls. Yeah, if it goes down, please give me a call and let me know, because I get 2-3 calls a week. Is the fuel system working? I'm coming in. In fact, I believe a guy brought what the heck they call that Swiss plane. He brought it in from Ogden, Utah, I believe, here a weekend or so ago. And he said, "Can you land twin engines there?" I said, "Well, the hospital lands the King Air on there." "Oh, it's fine." So he was asking about jet fuel, and I said, "Nope, we don't have jet fuel. You'll have to go to Helena for that, or Three Forks." But he was bringing some people up here for some kind of a meeting. Might have been a wedding, I don't know. Pilatus.
PC-12.
Okay.
PC-12.
For new business, I do have one, a couple items actually. One thing that I had noticed is we still have a couple of us board members that are city representatives, and I suppose we should clean that up.
Is it you, Adam?
It's me and Seth, I believe.
Oh, what?
Yeah, way to go.
I'm a city representative?
That's what
That's news to me.
that's what Daleen told me. Hanson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the email.
So it just needs to be changed on like the website.
I think
also
it's
with the
pretty
county?
straightforward if we just switch us over to county. I mean, it's kind of a
I
moot
think they
point.
changed in our bylaws.
It did change. It did. Okay.
It doesn't mention the city representatives anymore, so it should be an issue.
Not
You
an
did?
issue. Okay.
See, Seth did go through the county commission, didn't he, for
Yeah.
approval?
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought he did.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought, so-
Adam is only the only one making, well.
Also says as far as my term is not applicable. So apparently I'm a lifer. I guess.
Forever, you're a lifer.
Sorry, you can't leave.
I'll work with her
Pull
to
the
get
whistle or
that.
ring the bell, just
Yeah.
keep driving.
Along those lines though, Adam, Jess's is up, and I have received her letter, but we make that decision at the next board meeting. We need to wait 30 days, and I don't know when that ends, but then we get all the letters, then you make a recommendation.
Yes. Yeah. Because she expires here in December 31st. Our next meeting is December 18th, so we'll just put it on that. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sir, no, we can easily address these issues. Chairman Fulford is correct. We did address these in the bylaws, but if there was an oversight, that's an easy fix. If we have to amend these bylaws, perfect timing. No, really, because we like to do this stuff at the
Yeah.
end of the year,
Yeah.
get it ready for the next year. So I think we can just, with your blessing, we can just do a little task force and have like a little ad hoc conversation and kind of address those issues. But I just want to say, please do this now.
Yeah. Well, if it's already been addressed in the bylaws, then it's as simple as changing Daleen Hanson's spreadsheet. I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay, great.
Does that sound?
I just wanted to thank you guys for addressing that. That's like the type of thing, like that proactive approach just makes me as an attorney be so happy.
We try.
Okay, yeah. So
First
thank
time
you
for
guys.
everything. Okay, so if you would put Jess's renewal on next month's. Is there any other new business? Going once, going twice. Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.